Welcome to Sage Audio. Today, let's cover how to balance a vocal and beat. But first, if you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Blending vocals in with EQ. These tips are in no particular order, but feel free to combine them if needed. Let's first look at making a vocal blend into a beat by using EQ. So using an EQ on the vocal, I'll subtly attenuate 2 to 5 kHz. Then using an EQ on the beat, I'll amplify this same 2 to 5 kHz range, as well as a very small amount of 250 Hz. Now I'm going to use the Kurhoff EQ for this, and let me know if I'm saying that right in the comments because I think I've been saying it wrong. Now this is going to cause the beat to mask the vocal slightly, making it sit back in the mix. So let's take a listen to it.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
Making vocals stick out with EQ. Similar to last chapter, we could use an EQ to make the vocal stick out. This time I'm going to boost 2 to 5 kHz on the vocal and dip it on the beat. Unlike last time, instead of boosting a small amount of 250 Hz, I'll actually dip that on the vocal. These settings are going to make the vocal stick out and bring it forward. So let's take a listen to it.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and it helps us bring you more videos. Blending even and odd harmonics. If you plan on saturating your beat and vocal to create a fuller sound, you can use the same saturation type for both to help them blend, or you could use distinct saturation types to help keep them apart. Using the PSP saturator, we can get distinct harmonics for each setting. So for example, we could increase the warmth setting on the vocal to get a stronger second order harmonic, and then use a soft clip setting on the beat to get some odd ordered harmonics. Let's take a listen to the saturator, creating distinct harmonic formations for both the vocal and beat.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
Subtle sidechain compression on beat. If we want our vocal to stick out or sit on top of the beat, we'll first insert a compressor on the beat, then set the vocal as the external sidechain. This means the compressor is going to measure the vocal's level, but cause compression to the beat. So whenever the vocal is present, the level of the beat is going to get reduced slightly. For this effect, I'll use an attack of 20 milliseconds and a release of at least 50 milliseconds to avoid distortion. Also, it's best to avoid more than 2 dB of attenuation. Let's take a listen and notice how the vocal now has a lot more room in the mix.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
Subtle sidechain compression on a vocal. To make a vocal sit back in a mix using compression, let's insert the compressor on the vocal and sidechain the beat. Like the last chapter, this vocal is going to be attenuated whenever the beat is present, but let's use some different settings than last time. I'll use a quicker attack and release, as well as a little bit of look ahead. Now, if I want to smooth out the vocal as well, I could use an optical compressor for this technique. Let's take a listen with these settings and notice how the vocal is smoother and further back.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. That's easy.
Sidechain dynamic EQ. Some dynamic EQs and multiband compressors let you use an external sidechain, which is really useful. I'll put an EQ on my vocal and then use the same settings that I used in chapter 2. This time I'll set the beat as the external sidechain and make the bands dynamic. I'll be sure to enable the external sidechain as the trigger for my dynamic band. Now whenever the beat is loud enough, bands that make the vocal stick out will be amplified, causing dynamic presence for the vocal. Let's take a listen and consider how this compares to chapter 2.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
Inverse EQ on vocal part 1. This trick is a little complex, but it's really interesting nonetheless. I'll use an EQ matching function to find what bands would make the vocal blend in with the beat, but then invert them to make the vocal stick out. First, I'll insert the EQ on the vocal, then I'll make the beat the external sidechain before using the match function and using the external sidechain as the reference. After the signals have been measured, I'll match the vocal's response to the beat's response. I'll delete very low frequency bands, as well as any bands that are extreme. Then, I'll highlight all of them, and with the gain dial, invert the gain of all of the bands that we've created. Let's take a listen and notice how this separates the beat and the vocal in a very specific and unique way.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
If you're enjoying the channel, use the search box to watch more of our videos. Inverse EQ on the vocal, part 2. For this trick, I'm going to combine what we did in the last chapter with the chapter on sidechained dynamic EQ. I'll keep all of the bands that we created from our last chapter, but then highlight them, right-click, and make them dynamic before adjusting their ranges and their gain. Now, this is a cool effect in and of itself, but we could cause these bands to be triggered by the beat. As a result, we would get inverse, dynamic, and sidechain triggered EQ. This makes the vocal stick out, and as you can imagine, if you want to blend the vocal in instead, we could invert the ranges. So let's take a listen to this with the ranges set to make the vocals stick out.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
De-essing vocal, expanding beat. We discussed earlier how 2 to 5 kHz is an important range, but directly above this is another region where our ears are very sensitive. With that in mind, if we want the vocal to sit back in the mix, I could de-ess it while boosting this range on the beat. For example, if I de-ess 5 to 9 kHz on the vocal, I could boost 5 to 9 kHz on the beat. Although most of the steps that we covered can be inverted to cause the opposite effect, I really wouldn't recommend amplifying your vocal sibilance to make it stick out. So let's take a listen with de-essing on the vocal and amplification on the beat.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
Gullfoss EQ on vocal and beat. This last tip feels a little bit like cheating, but intelligent EQs like Gullfoss kind of just take a lot of the work out of mixing. First, I'll insert the Gullfoss on the vocal, and then sidechain the beat. Then I'll increase recover or tame to affect the balance. Increasing recover is going to make the vocal sit on top of the mix, while increasing tame is going to make it sit back. I'll also isolate this processing to the vocal's mids. Let's take a listen.
Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Baby, live it up, you know the work week coming. Turn it into profit so the hurt means something. Shine on the competition, shawty, that's easy.
If you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.